on this episode of the Shinobi03 Show.
So, Star-Lord, I hear you're a fan of music. What do you say about death metal?
Now let's see. Will I destroy you in a blink of an eye? Or your mitten will do it first? The Shining is one huge lie! Oh, you mean the moon landing thing? No, it's because it's called The Shining, but there are no shiny Pokemon in it. You're joking, right? But Daddy, they all laugh at me! You're not helping.
Now, Gamora, I want you to be a nice girl and get back home at 10 o'clock.
But,
10 o'clock.
Ready Player One is one of the most unrealistic movies I've seen in my life. Oh, you mean how they got all these pop culture icons of different licenses in one movie? No, I'm talking about being able to use these VR sets for more than 5 minutes when everyone knows it's physically impossible. And now the conclusion. You know, Jurassic Park sequels were always seen as bad sequels. By the public, of course. The real Jurassic Park fans didn't hate them. But that was it. They were just bad movies. That was pretty much it. But then Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom came along and... oh my god!
From the horrendously fake and unconvincing dialogue to the outlandishly terrible character decisions and motivations.
Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is not good. Actually, it's pretty bad.
Well, hey, speaking of rat feces, do you want to talk more about Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom?
Boy, do I ever.
This is so beyond stupid. F you, film. F you for not having any faith in your audience's brains. You couldn't even try to write something better than that.
You cannot tell me that this is a good movie. You can't. You can't. I'm not even a third of the way finished with the damn plot yet, and we're at the point where I was ready to walk out of the theater. This movie was dreadful. Surely you must have seen the same movie. There can't actually be anyone in the world that watched this utterly retarded nonsense and actually thought this was unironically well written.
What is the deal here? Did I miss a meeting or something? Did the entire world wake up one day and decide, okay, let's hate Jurassic Park or what? Why is it all of a sudden cool to trash the Jurassic Park movies? What's the deal? Did I jump to another dimension while I was asleep? This just boggles my mind. The amount of vicious attacks this movie has received, it's unspeakably idiotic. We have those who try to sound smart thinking they know what they're talking about.
How do you expect us to care when the premises of these movies are built on such stupid ideas?
Others who are just idiotically nitpicking on everything like...
also, it has a yellow stripe. How is this an improvement?
assholes like...
I'm sure the mental gymnastics required to defend these terrible movies will increase tenfold for this one. And believe me, the mental gymnastics are gonna have to get a lot better because oh boy does shit get retarded real soon.
And then we have... this.
Just make... and you and gift store. That was the entire point of the first movie. Was that in between the? It's just like a rode on an elephant. So his assumption.
What the f*** is
is this? The Big Bang Theory? That wasn't a joke!
Seriously, you can replace every one of these reviews with this. These movies are wanker. The people who made it are wankers, and everybody who liked it is a wanker. Don't forget to wank the sub button and wank the bell and wank my Patreon to release my new series called Movies You Can Wank to, you bloody wankers. This was the Wanker Critic, and I wank it so you don't wank to it. You wankers. Ugh. This is worse than being a fan of the Transformers movies. It's like I'm the only one in the world who really liked Fallen Kingdom. It's absurd. But then again, I shouldn't be surprised because critics didn't like the original Jurassic Park movie back in the day.
Jurassic Park has a number of peak thrills at the level of the attacks in Jaws, and it has moments of real wonder. But when the animals are off screen, the film really lags. That wasn't true if you think about it with Jaws, which had 3 marvelous characters hunting the shark. Jurassic Park only has Goldblum. The rest of the crew stands around and smiles or schemes. Still, thumbs up for me. The action scenes are really enjoyable.
I give a thumbs up too, and also for the action scenes, and I feel that really this movie, though, is a missed opportunity because what he doesn't have here, and what I really missed from a movie by Spielberg like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, is the sense of awe, the sense of majesty. These creatures are back, and it's amazing, and right away, after an opening shot that has a little of that,
yes, it does.
The movie disintegrates basically into a monster picture where the dinosaurs are chasing everybody, and the people are running away, and there's lots of action and lots of screaming, but there's not really any opportunity to really give these creatures their due. It's almost like the movie doesn't have any respect for the intelligence of the audience, that they might really be interested in dinosaurs instead of just in the action scenes.
We could have used more scenes, you're right, of awe, and that's, well, I think you're just right.
Jurassic Park was born when the dinosaurs weren't on screen, uninteresting characters, all action and no wonder, insults the audience intelligence, and merely a monster movie. It's almost the same thing everybody says about Fallen Kingdom. How ironic. To further prove the absurdity of the situation, one of the complaints about this movie that I wasn't aware of until it was brought to my attention is the lack of dinosaur accuracy. Yes, this was a major complaint among many people about this movie. And I'm like, where were you for the past 25 years or so? The dinosaurs in these movies were never accurate. Hell, you could say they were inaccurate the moment Michael Crichton chose to name the dinosaurs Velociraptor instead of Deinonychus just because it sounded cooler and catchier. Yes, these are actually Deinonychus, which made things a bit complicated when they decided to include actual Deinonychus to the franchise. What, did people forget the highly inaccurate Dilophosaurus from the first movie? I guess because that became so ingrained in pop culture it became acceptable. But really, after all this time, now does everybody decide to point that out? In the 5th movie nonetheless? Isn't that like if Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince was my first Harry Potter movie and complained that none of the characters wear witch hats? And since I'm like the only one paying attention, here are a couple of reminders regarding the creatures of this franchise.
Dinosaurs lived 65 million years ago. What is left of them is fossilized in the rocks, and it is in the rock that real scientists make real discoveries. Now, what John Hammond and InGen did at Jurassic Park is create genetically engineered theme park monsters, nothing more and nothing less.
Nothing in Jurassic World is natural. We have always filled gaps in the genome with the DNA of other animals. And if their genetic code was pure, many of them would look quite different. But you didn't ask for reality. You asked for more teeth.
I never asked for a monster.
Monster is a relative term. To a canary, a cat is a monster.
Imagine if suddenly Roberta sprouted feathers in this movie. How would the audience react to that? Oh wait, it happened with the raptors in Jurassic Park 3, and everybody called them ugly and questioned the continuity error it made. People, you're watching a movie, not a documentary. Hell, even documentaries don't get everything right about them.
You know, a lot of my books have been about sort of science gone wrong, and I'm always surprised that anybody takes it seriously. When Jurassic Park came out, there was a congressman who was going to introduce legislation banning any research leading to the creation of a dinosaur. I held my breath, hoping to see this happen, but apparently somebody whispered in the guy's ear that it was just a movie, you know? It was.
If you're that picky about it, then perhaps you should start petition Disney to give Rafiki a shorter tail to make him an accurate-looking mandrill. Or petition Hollywood to make all space scenes to be dead silence like this.
This is where the fun begins. Let the pause between us. I'm gonna go help them out. No, they are doing their job. Then we can do ours. Missiles, pull up. They overshot us. They're coming around.
It's one thing if a movie was actually bad. It's another thing when it's heavily misunderstood. Tell me if you've been through this situation for at least once in your life. You go to watch a new movie you've been interested in for a long time and you've been patiently waiting for it. You go, you're having a good time, and you think it was one of the best things you've seen in your life. But then you talk about it with other people, you get shocked by hearing how nobody liked it, as if you saw an entirely different movie and you don't understand why nobody else liked it as much as you did. Those who saw the movie on their own are one issue. The bigger issue are those who either never saw it but judged it based on online reviewers, or those who did watch it but they already said their opinion before they take their seats because they saw the reviews before they get to watch the movie and they watch it from start to finish under that one mindset like it's predetermined. And because those people never form their own opinion and just repeat what everybody says, they spread their false ideas among even more crowds to the point it becomes the normal line of thinking, and anybody who says a different opinion is marked as the odd one. And when those who spread these ideas are seen as gospel reviewers because they have over a million subs with millions of videos a day, they think they have the monopoly of the truth and they never get things wrong. And they're free to trash and insult everyone from the people who genuinely like these movies or those who worked on them like they have the full right to do so.
This is the kind of dumbassery you'd expect from someone who has literal Down syndrome.
So these filmmakers, that Colin Trevorrow, he's very meta and he's very clever.
He's very clever. he's a very, very smart man.
Why and how are these idiots getting writing jobs in Hollywood?
If they tell you this movie sucks, then that means they're right. No second guessing or room for doubt. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell, and don't forget to support them on Patreon Go Starter for their upcoming book titled You Movie Sucks and Here's Why. It doesn't matter what you think, it's what they think that matters. Because you're just a mindless peon who can't form his own opinion! I mean, who cares if you say this movie is good, huh? No one! But if you say this movie sucks, then congratulations! The crab is cold, and all your money belongs to me! And to all your fake fans, well, thank you! If I wasn't clear about it, let me rephrase it so you can understand. The current style of internet reviews needs to stop. 10 years ago, it was cool to watch people trash bad movies. It was funny to see online reviewers destroy vintage media like Man-Children in the name of comedy. But guess what? Like every trend or a fad, it soon reaches a point when it's no longer funny. And just like when you stick to an outdated trend that no longer interests people, they will lose interest at what you're doing and you will lose credibility.
Of course, some will say this is CinemaSins playing the asshole character for a joke, but after a certain point, it doesn't matter. If you pretend to be stupid for long enough, you just look stupid, perpetuating your stupidity to people who are rightly confused about what you're trying to say.
Nowadays, people don't get much entertainment from accentuating on the negative alone. The audience who grew up with that style has reached a point where they want something much more interesting and more productive. Just like how all those self-proclaimed reviewers demand for better movies, the audience of those reviewers demand for better reviews as well. Back then, it was funny when reviewers called the makers idiots or incompetents. Now, it is mostly seen as disrespectful, mean-spirited, cruel, and overall makes them look like big jerks for the sake of being jerks. Especially nowadays when cyberbullying, or just bullying in general, has reached dangerous levels where victims of all kinds either went through terrible mental traumas or ended their lives.
It's not just your successes or our problems, though. It's more than that. Has anyone else noticed things have felt a bit meaner lately? Anytime someone compares our companies, you get so much snark and divisiveness and hate. Do we really want to see how far this rivalry might go? The point is, you're punching down at a company that everyone criticizes, and we're punching up at a company that everyone loves. I guess we're just wondering, why are we still putting ourselves through this?
Do you know the saying, everybody is a critic? Just because you can make a certain criticism, that doesn't automatically make a critic. Not everybody is qualified to be a critic in the way we all associate that word with. What makes a good critic, in my opinion, is first being neutral to everything they're going to experience. When you either go to watch a movie, or play a game, or read a book, you need to do with the expectation of it being good. When you are a one-note critic who says everything is terrible, that makes you boring and very predictable. But if your criticism is varied and make different opinions from time to time, that makes you interesting to follow, and makes the viewer wondering what will be your opinion like with each episode.
These comics suck. This comic doesn't suck at all. Anyway, this comic is okay for the most part, but it's still not good. Anyway, this origin is pretty damn good.
If you go with the mindset that what you're experiencing is going to suck anyway, then maybe you shouldn't waste your time on it, because you weren't planning to like it and weren't prepared to have anything nice to say about it from the beginning.
We had a bet going into this. Who was going to be the most bland actor? I had gone with Russell Crowe. I actually
stood up for him.
Yes, I went with Russell Crowe, fresh off of Les Miserables.
But you can't beat the blandness of the Costner.
Yeah,
I said
you
Costner
went
was
with
gonna
Kevin
be more
Costner, and I was just like, when it was all said and done, I
cough it up.
Yeah, there was no contest. Russell Crowe, as bland as he was still not as bad as Kevin Costner. So thank you so much, sir. That being said,
that's not good criticism, because it wasn't based on how you felt from the experience. It was a predetermined choice that wouldn't be affected if you go see it or not. Going through the experience with the assumption that it'll be bad makes you blind to everything good about it, and when you make your supposed review of it, you point the wrong picture about it. And when the people who had the same experience, who were enjoying and were invested in it, end up watching your review, they won't accept your criticism because you got things severely wrong and you're not representing what you're criticizing in a fair look. And by doing so, it only makes you look like you have a personal vendetta against the people who made what you're criticizing, and that should instantly make these reviews invalid from the beginning, because you weren't fair to them from the beginning.
Okay, well, I mean, you don't even know if it's any good or not. I didn't...
That's true. I haven't read a word of it or even seen a preview. But after the opening tomorrow, I'm going to turn in the worst review anybody has ever read. And I'm going to close your play. Would you like to know why? Because I hate you and everyone you represent. Entitled, selfish, spoiled children. Blissfully untrained, unversed, and unprepared to even attempt real art. Handing each other awards for cartoons and pornography. Measuring your worth in weekends. Well, this is the theater. And you don't get to come in here and pretend you can write, direct, and act in your own propaganda piece without coming through me first.
Another thing that critics need to understand that not every movie is criticized equally. For example, if the critic is a fan of the sci-fi genre, but not so with romance, he can't criticize a romance movie the same he does to a sci-fi movie, because he's not as well delved in it as the other. Reviewing a movie of a genre or a source that he doesn't fully understand without understanding why they work like that or why certain plot elements work in a certain way, not only they make a bad impression of the movie, but will also backfire if it was heavily misinformed. Not only to the reviewer, but also for the movies themselves, as they rob them from a crowd that was interested in seeing these movies but changed their minds after watching a CinemaSins video.
Wow, this is absolutely not what I thought the movie was going to be about. Trippy. Not one I'd watch. The implication with that last quote being that CinemaSins spoiled the entire movie for the person, which robbed it of a potential sale while misrepresenting it. So despite CinemaSins' insistence that they're not reviewers, a significant portion of their audience is using their Everything Wrong With series as review to inform themselves about the quality of films. And by the way, all these comments were taken from the Everything Wrong With video for Get Out, one of the best films to come out in the past few years. Don't know about you, but that feels pretty gross to me.
I hate CinemaSins, by the way, even more so than the Dumbass Critic and his awful channel. I hate them so much that I feel dirty just mentioning them as an example here, for they are the best example of everything wrong with internet criticism.
CinemaSins is bad for film criticism. People who haven't seen the movie and Everything Wrong With is based on can be legitimately misled about its quality, as I've pointed out. A lot of people, including CinemaSins, consider Everything Wrong With to be review, at least in part, which is misrepresentation, but also contributes to teaching YouTube at large that criticism should be judged by its entertainment value rather than the merit of its arguments. CinemaSins is bad for YouTube. It touts CinemaSins as a success story through recommendations despite its falsehoods. CinemaSins serves to teach YouTubers not to spend time crafting their content and instead turn to video marketing tactics, cranking out low-effort clickbait videos to maximize engagement and therefore profits. CinemaSins shows its audience that facts are overrated and can be easily excused with satire and comedy, which undermines other content on YouTube that's more thoughtful and meaningful. And finally, CinemaSins is bad for critical thinking and intellectual honesty. People often won't question CinemaSins or content like it if it has even a sliver of entertainment value, and will vehemently defend it despite its many, many contradictions. CinemaSins serves as a lesson that people can say whatever they want and explain it away later as a joke or satire or all of the above, as if these concepts are just get-out-of-criticism free cards and not tools for crafting art.
Hell, I hate them so much that I'm not even going to show or even include their Fallen Kingdom footage in this entire video. They are that bad of a channel. Plus, it's not like I even watch it anyway, because why should I? And while we're on the subject of these problematic reviews, here's another thing that needs to stop. Long, nitpicky summarizations of movies on their opening night. If you're going to give a quick 5 to 10 minutes thoughts of the movie, that's fine. But making a movie-length summarization of the movie pointing out every single thing is not recommended. Why? Because these in-depth reviews are dependent on the reviewer's memory, and unless you have a really strong memory or rewatch the movie several times to memorize it, which by the way, great for supporting this bad movie that you told everybody not to go to, good plan. You're going to base your notes on faulty memories, and you can't just rewind the movie to double check unless you get to by illegal means. And when you get your facts and opinions wrong about something, that will stick around forever unless you take it down and redo the whole thing all over again. But I guess because YouTube's algorithms just point a gun to your heads and you force yourselves to make something while the movie is still trending. And those are the same people who yell at Hollywood for making movies based on trends instead of making good stories.
In April of 2015, Disney announced that they'd be making a live-action Winnie the Pooh film. Angered by this, CinemaSins Jeremy uploaded a video of himself explaining why he thinks that's a terrible idea.
You offend me, Disney. You offend me as somebody who has written and created original things. They're going to come in the comments and say, you make videos on YouTube using other people's movies. Blah-diddy-blah-diddy-blah. And yes, you're right. We also make a shit ton of other stuff. But more importantly, the reason we started that channel was to point out when Hollywood started slacking, started repeating too many things, started falling into tropes and cliches and cycles. That's the point of the whole channel, was to bemoan this shit.
I mean, it's not like the interest is gonna get back when the movie gets to be available on home releases where everybody gets to see it again in their leisure, and you find a CinemaSins video shove down your recommendations for everyone to watch and support lowering the standards of criticism even further, right? Ever since I started the series, I keep getting comments and tweets saying, hey, will you make a response video to this guy? Please respond to this guy! Respond to this guy! What do you say about this one? What about this one? What about this and that? You know what? You're getting it! Oh, you're getting it! And since I'm angry and furious at this, that means for the entirety of this review, I'm going to be in my nerd rage mode full on from the start. The button is already smashed hard, so let's get to it and end this show of bad comedy.